Alright guys, welcome back to Formula 1 news. The Dutch Grand Prix weekend begins tomorrow and Lewis Hamilton and George Russell have explained the key weakness they will have to navigate with their car this weekend if they want to have a successful weekend, and also confirming that plenty of changes they already know they intend to bring for next year's model. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you are new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty of updates on the driver side to dive into today as well. Let's just crack straight on. Firstly, confirmation really that guanyu is going to stay as the driver alongside Valtteri Bottas next year at Alfa Romeo. Not confirmed, but it's pretty much certain at that point that will be the case. Also in the Williams seat, kind of unclear who's going to get that Williams seat for next year. I think Latifi has actually been told by Williams, like, look, if you start really turning up and deliver, Q3s every single week, then we'll keep you. More than likely, though, he won't get kept. And of course, there are other names in consideration. Mick Schumacher might be one of them. Apparently, Williams want Mick Schumacher now to replace Latifi. He was linked, of course, to Alpine. And actually, F1 Insider, this account, just a couple of days ago, said that he thought Mick to Alpine was like a 70% thing. Now he's saying that Gasly is going to be their man. So the other day, other sources were saying Gasly was the key target. He reckons Mick Schumacher was, and now he reckons that Gasly is. So that seems to indicate, if all sources are kind of aligning on the idea that Gasly is going to be the driver next year alongside Ocon, then it probably is going to go that way. Apparently they've been talking to Riccardo and Gasly as well, but Mick Schumacher to Alpine no longer a thing. Gasly to Alpine is now the thing, and maybe Schumacher to Williams in a possible scenario. And apparently the team has now indicated, or at least it's been indicated by many sources, that Gasly is the team's focus. And there was even some talk, right, about, look, this guy reckons straight up Gasly to Alpine is a done deal. Now, I think there was some talk in the paddock. He's been asked about it, and he's kind of not said too much. He said, look, all I can say is I've got a valid contract with AlphaTauri for next season, and that's kind of where he wants to leave it. So he's playing the cards close to his chest, but if the rumours are anything to go by, Gasly to Alpine is pretty much getting there in terms of a done deal for next season, where I'm sure there will be fireworks if that was the case. Ocon was actually asked who would be his favourite driver for the seat, and he said Mick Schumacher, because I think they're good friends. Not such good friends with Pierre Gasly, but he has said, look, whoever my partner is for next year, it's important that they help the team develop and that there is mutual respect. We have a good relationship with Pierre. I wouldn't have any problems, right? So he said, look, we have a good relationship, mightn't be the best of friends, but look, still, they reckon they won't have any problems. Of course, he's going to say this, right? He's not going to say, well, I really don't want that Gasly guy on my team, really hate that guy. Like, obviously, the team makes the call at the end of the day, and the drivers make it work for good or for ill. This another bit of news that actually initially came out from Joe Soward, I believe, in his green notebook, but he mentioned that Daniel Ricciardo might be looking at a reserve driver position for Mercedes. Now, Fastest Pit Stop reckons that these rumours are in fact true. Seemed strange when I first saw them talked about, but now they are gaining more credence, saying that maybe Mercedes are looking to switch around their reserve team, because they don't really have a pipeline of drivers, Mercedes. I mean, they do, but it's not quite the same as what Red Bull have in all their junior academies and stuff. And Ferrari's has been arguably rather stale, with the rumours that like Haas want Giovinazzi back and stuff, which seems a bit strange to me anyway. So yeah, apparently Ricciardo could be a reserve driver for Mercedes next year, take a year out, and then see what happens. So it seems kind of strange on both sides, but Ricciardo all of a sudden is kind of out of all of the conversations really with regard to getting a starting seat next season. So I suppose we'll see about that one, but kind of crazy stuff. Let's dive then into the whole Mercedes shenanigans of last weekend. I do want to do a video, I'll probably do it tomorrow morning, on the Alonso Hamilton drama and some kind of further response to that, but it was pretty cool that Alonso went to pick up the hat that Hamilton kind of signed for him the other day. So they seem to be on decent terms again. Now, look, this weekend, of course, the cars are going to have a rather different downforce setup. Higher downforce rear wings, of course, around Zandvoort. We can already see some of the ideas right here that Albert kind of put on the timeline. And also this to mention, because I believe next year, the rules around the wing mirrors are changing. So I guess there's an incentive for teams to have as smaller wing mirrors as they possibly can, so that they reduce downforce, or they reduce the drag, right, of the car. I think next year they're going to have to up the sizes. We can see that, I think on the right-hand side here, this is the new design or the new specifications that the teams have to use. And this, I guess, is the old one on the left-hand side of the car here. So the teams might be running the different models here for practice tomorrow, just to see, like, what it means in terms of drag, and just to get an idea of what it might be like next season, effectively. And look, I think this is probably a good thing for safety, because often the drivers say nowadays that when they're sitting in the car, there's so much around them, all the, the monocoque around them and the halo now as it is, like they can't really see that much or like have a really good indication of where cars are around them, right? Even Hamilton said just last week in the Alonso incident that Alonso was kind of in his blind spot and he just couldn't see him, right? Because he couldn't, like, the wing mirror was in such a way that he could only see behind and not kind of to his side. So we didn't really know where Alonso was, even though, he obviously feels like he probably could have guessed in hindsight. But I mean, yeah, I guess this is good for safety, but not exactly. They don't look so good, I suppose you could say, as big and bulky as they are. But still, I'm sure we'll get used to them to a certain degree. Let's talk Mercedes then, because of course they're hoping this weekend will be better than the last. Failed to get a podium for the first time since, just after Baku or something. It's been quite some time since they haven't got a podium. But I mean, yeah, George Russell kind of implies the key weakness of their car and their season has been the kind of inconsistency of their performance. One weekend they're looking good, the next weekend they have a massive swing and are looking terrible. This weekend, who knows what we're going to get from Mercedes, right? It's almost impossible to predict, it seems. And this is what Hamilton has to say, echoing this opinion, and also giving a lot of credit to Red Bull. I thought the words he had to say about Red Bull and the performance they've, done as a team, and also Adrian Newey, right? He mentions him specifically in terms of the designer, because I think often, Horner and Helmut Marko, they give a lot of the credit to Max, I think understandably, but, I think guys like Adrian Newey, like, actually designed this car that seems to perform so well at so many different tracks, gets maybe less credit than he deserves, and Hamilton's tipping his hat to his performance individually and actually making the Red Bull be as successful as it has been, and also saying that, yes, Mercedes' key weakness is their inconsistency from weekend to weekend, and also saying there's plenty of things that they've already decided they want to change for next year's car.
I think there are obviously bits of it that are good. There is performance in there. It's just whether or not you can utilize the performance, and whether when you put the car on you want to track a car that works in every single track you go to. The Red Bull generally seems to work in majority of places. It's understanding why and somehow working into next year's car, the aero, wherever the aero characteristic balance is, making sure that the car works everywhere. Okay. But there's loads of bits of this car that we would change.
Yeah.
That I would change as well, and the team would change, and that's what we're going to try and do for next year's car.
Okay. Do you have a handle on why that Red Bull is so good? I mean, they were 1-2, and Max could have been 25 seconds won by the last race. Why is it so good, that RB18?
I think we got they've clearly got the aero balancing great. They've got great ride quality. He doesn't ever have any problems with bumps. So when you've got a stable platform like that, it's and they're a great team. They've done an amazing job. You've got to take a hat off to Red Bull. They've done a phenomenal job. They had a great car last year as well. If you look at, Adrian Newey doesn't generally build bad cars. He's built amazing cars over the years. My first championship car was an evolution of his car. So I think I know he did his thesis on ground effect flaws. So
way back when at Southampton University, I think it was. Yeah.
So it's no surprise, to be honest, that he's one of the only ones that draw by hand the design of cars. So his understanding there, I think, it's definitely been an advantage to them, and they've done a great job.
So Hamilton kind of indicating that even, his first championship winning car back in 2008 was kind of an iteration of an Adrian Newey design. He's been around so long, and I guess in terms of like an individual, does he have the most ever constructors championships between him? I don't know, maybe he does, between like Williams and McLaren and of course Red Bull, right, over the years that he's been with the Red Bull project. But Hamilton saying, and Russell indicating as well, that the inconsistency is the key issue they have to deal with. The Red Bull and generally the Ferrari is pretty good wherever they go. The Mercedes doesn't necessarily seem to be, and they probably have explanations as to why, because Hamilton's like, look, we have changes we want to make, so they probably have some understanding as to what's causing these issues, and of course, maybe they believe that they can still unlock the performance that they think this car is capable of, even with the current concept they have. Maybe they don't, of course. Another thing to mention is that, of course, the potential engine damage that we heard from Lewis Hamilton, for Lewis Hamilton's car after the impact with Alonso, he believes that it will be able to be repaired, but not for this weekend. So I'm guessing he's going to be using the old engine from pre-Spa for this weekend, which probably means less power and, it could be maybe more unreliable, but they probably won't be able to run it at full whack if it's an old engine. So that might hurt him to a certain extent. But, probably for Monza or even beyond, they reckon they can fix the engine so he won't have to take a penalty, which I suppose is good news for Mercedes. And this I thought was pretty funny from Russell, because he was kind of asked, okay, what will the gap be this weekend, and he reckons, yeah, probably the gap will be smaller than 1.8 seconds because it's a shorter lap here around Zandvoort than elsewhere. Quick word on Ferrari, because of course they're looking to catch up the Red Bull pace, which was dominant in Spa. And look, Ferrari have said, well, you know, look, apart from Spa being an outlier, every other track has really been pretty competitive between us and the Red Bulls, and apparently they know why they had a lack of pace. Even Mercedes during the race were quicker than the Ferraris at times, largely due, they believe, to better tyre degradation management, which the Ferrari has kind of been struggling with lately, and the Red Bull has been rather good at, all things considered. Like, well, Verstappen did a lot of laps on those soft tyres at the start of his stint back at Spa, despite the fact that he was probably working those tyres pretty hard in the opening laps to make the moves he did. I guess there was a safety car, but, you know, still worthy of mention nonetheless. And even Mattia Binotto has kind of doubled down on the mistake stuff that always kind of looms above Ferrari's heads every weekend. It's almost like last weekend in Spa, they were like, damn, we've kind of made pretty intelligent strategic decisions so far this race. Let's just pull a blinder at the end of it, bring Charles into the pits, to go for the fastest lap, and then of course, well, the penalty comes through and they get docked to position in the end. And Binotto says, look, I think a lot of these performances we've had have actually been pretty good. It's just, you know, our team gets criticised more heavily than others, which might be true to a certain extent, right? I think like people know at this point to watch out for strange Ferrari decisions, therefore they get criticised more heavily. Like as Sainz says, if other teams make strategic errors, no one points it out. If it's your Ferrari, it's a different story, right? But I think there's a good reason why people scrutinise Ferrari strategic decisions more heavily, let's say, than for other teams. And this just to note as well from Albert as well, because if you guys didn't know about this already, is that the final kind of, well, slow left-hander, right, where kind of the grandstands are, effectively the penultimate corner of the race, there is a gravel trap there just on the left-hand side of the corner. And I think last year there was issues with drivers kind of, you know, moving a lot of those gravel stones onto the track and causing issues and having to get it cleared up. So this year, they've effectively locked them down with like a resin, so you can't move them anymore really. Now, whether it's possible to move them with an F1 car if you get, you know, into the gravel and really put the revs on, maybe you can move a whole chunk of them away, but in theory this should make those issues less valid, but also means that if you do happen to go off there, you're less likely to get stuck, which I suppose could also be a positive as well. And it's tough to say exactly what that would mean for the racing, but yeah, just as we close out the video, to mention that Google does believe it's possible that this weekend it might be raining to some degree. Maybe Saturday, probably not Sunday, but we could have a wet qualifying in Zandvoort. I suppose stay tuned for that one. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new as always, take care, and I'll see you next time.